What's going on, everybody? Scary Spikes back with you again. This time I wanted to show you a little bit of Dirty Bomb. Dirty Bomb is a free-to-play game brought to you by the folks that made Brink. If you're not familiar with Brink, go look it up. But in the meantime, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the game and how much fun I've been having with it. It's actually a pretty solid free-to-play game. It does have its quirks though, which are some of the ones that I will be going over in this video, but I want to give you an overall impression of the game before we get started and before we go into anything specific. The game itself lends itself to be a very team-oriented game. It has a lot of good objectives that are tailored to be completed by a hard-working, cooperating group of players, and most often than not, you're going to be winning games if your team can cooperate. If your team does not cooperate, you're going to be getting smashed repeatedly, and it's going to hurt. But that being said, it is a very fun game. There is a lot of great things to be seen and to be enjoyed here. A lot of great fluidity in the movement and the gunplay during the action. Very frantic and fast action as well. This is definitely a very Twitch-like shooter where you need to have your senses about you at all times and really pay attention, which does pay dividends in the matches that you will be playing online. And yes, this is an online-only game. There is a tutorial that you can go through, which we'll probably look at some other time. Right now, I wanted to show you the core aspects of the game and some of the features that I like and some of the features that I don't like too much. Now, I also wanted to mention Angry Joe's angry rant about this game. If you guys have not seen that, I'd recommend you go check it out. Yeah, he's a little biased, but at the same time, you know what? He makes a lot of good points. So take what you will from this video and then go ahead and go over there and watch his video. And you know what? Let me know what you think and let me know where you stand on the whole free-to-play thing. So without further ado, let's get started and move into this little mini review, or so it is, of Dirty Bomb. So the first thing I want to touch on is probably the most overlooked, but arguably also one of the most important parts of any game, and that is the settings screen. Now, in Dirty Bomb, these are fairly simplistic, but they do have some great functions, and I do want to also add that this is the beta build, as you can see down here, so things might change down the road, getting closer to actual full release of the game. So the first thing we've got are options for the HUD with crosshair view and screen effects, and of course I'm not going to be going over these ones in detail, but you can see field of view, always nice to have in a PC game, screen effects that you can turn off at will, and you can mess with your crosshair as well. Moving on to controls, again, very basic controls, but very functional. You've got your sensitivity, invert Y, and smoothing. I like to have both of these off. They're a little bit better for aiming, unless of course you're using a gamepad, which might be a little bit different, and you could probably set that up separately. You've got your keys all bound over here. You can change all of your key bindings, and then going into advanced, we have these little features here, which change the way that your crouch, sprint, and iron sight mode interact, and whether sprint cancels reload, which is actually really cool because these little tiny things don't typically affect your gameplay as much, or at least we don't notice it, but they do affect gameplay in reality, and being able to change these is kind of a nice touch, even though they are fairly simple features. Now, moving on to video, we've got our options for screen and an advanced tab as well, with our ratio and resolution as well as window mode, VSync, which I like to turn off, and a gamma slider, which is also very nice. Albeit you could probably change these in your Catalyst or NVIDIA control panel, but it's nice to have them in the game as well. Moving on to the advanced here, we can set a preset for low, medium, or high details, and then being able to choose a cornucopia of options here based on the details and how we want our world to look. Now, this game runs fairly smoothly, and I do typically have many of these features turned on or up to high, and I haven't seen any performance bugs yet, but I have seen some people with certain video cards running into some frame hitching and some texture pop-in of the sort, which is somewhat normal, especially when you consider that the game is in beta. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to mention that, but as many as it's necessary, I guess. Moving on to audio, again, very basic features for our master music, sound effects, and dialogue, and then of course our notifications and voice chat can all be adjusted here. Fairly easy. And then lastly, rounding it out with language, and this is used to choose the language for the menus and the HUD elements, although I don't think it's actually going to be changing the voiceover in the game, even though there's really not a lot, but there are some times where you will hear your mark say certain things. I don't think that actually applies here, so this is probably just for the HUD and for the menus. As we can see here, there's no further information, so that leads me to believe that there's going to be no effect on the voiceover effects. So moving into the barracks here, we can actually finally start to explain what this game is all about and the principles upon which it works. Now, you're going to be able to bring a bunch of mercs with you, namely 3 mercs, into battle at any given time and being able to switch in between them at will every time you die and respawn. Each of these mercs has their own playstyle, ranging from healers and support mercs to long-range shooters to, well, you name it. There's pretty much a little bit of everything here. For example, you start off with a healer here named Aura, who has a defibrillator and some healing stations that she can put down to support her team, as well as Skyhammer, who's pretty proficient with a rifle and also being able to call down airstrikes and give ammo to his team. Those two are going to be predominantly the two that you start out with when you start playing Dirty Bomb, although you can buy a starter pack which I believe includes 3 mercenaries in total, as well as some other swag, so you can go check that out if you like. I would highly recommend playing the game for a few hours before you do though, since it doesn't really matter when you buy it, you still get access to it, and it's probably not going to make that big of a difference. Now, when you click on any of these mercs, you're able to actually go ahead and see their profile. And in their profile, they're going to be giving you some information here about their base health, and I'm not really sure what this is here, but I think maybe this is, let's see here. Speed. Okay, that's interesting. So each of these has a different speed, which is of course something that I have noticed, but nothing that's been that outstanding. So then you have your abilities here, Proximity Mine as well as Objective Specialist. So Proxy here, she's able to put down some mines, which is really cool, and she's very fast on objectives. If you're one of those kinds of people that loves playing specifically for the objectives, you're going to love Proxy because she's a lot faster at getting objectives done than everybody else. For example, planting C4, defusing C4, and so on. So if you want any more information about your particular mercenary before you buy them with either the in-game or real money, you're able to come in here and just have a quick read about what these guys are all about. You can also go to My Loadout Cards, which shows you all of your loadouts that you have for any particular mercenary in question. Let's go ahead and take a look at these really quickly. Clicking on any of these loadout cards is going to show you a close-up of your merc, which you can look at in beautiful Unreal Engine 3D render, which, you know, they don't look that great, but they do look pretty good considering this is a free-to-play game. It does look fairly polished, and I would say the detail on the models is actually pretty good. So these different cards here, these loadout cards, have a bunch of different rarities, and I believe it goes something like lead, iron, bronze, silver, gold, and cobalt. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below, I probably am, but basically it's like any other rarity system that you've seen in other games. So of course the earlier ones being mentioned are the lower quality and the latter being the higher quality. The higher quality ones between bronze and cobalt don't differ very much except for the skins, and as you can see here we've got 3 different augments or attributes that you can have. Most cases you're going to be having just one with the lowest quality. The next highest quality is going to give you 2, and the next highest quality, being I believe bronze, is going to give you 3. These can range from allowing you to reload a little bit quicker to being able to dodge a little bit of explosives damage and so on. So you can't actually change weapons on the whim here or on the fly. You do have to pick a loadout that you like, and let me just go back here and show you. Let's back up a little bit. Let's go back into the barracks. So if we go over to loadouts, these are all the loadouts that we have right now, and mind you, you are going to be given some loadouts that you can't use. So if you're playing a game within about an hour or so, you typically get about 1 loadout card that's randomized, and of course it's randomized in the actual card that you get as well as the quality of that card. And all of these, as you can see, have different weapons. So let's see if we can find some similarities here. These guys are all pretty different though. So we've got 2 cards for Aura, let's say, okay? So we've got this one here, which is lead. She's got this Remberg 7 shotgun, as well as the Calden pistol and the Beckhill combat knife. And you can see all of the stats here in bar form. We don't have any augments, and I believe this is the lowest quality card, if I'm not mistaken. No rarity. Okay, so this is actually the default. So these gray ones here are the default, so that's why we don't have anything here. I'm still learning, guys, excuse me. I'm going to try to explain this as best as I can to you. But when we move on to here, as you can see now, this is a bronze level, so this is slightly better. We've got slightly better weapons, or at least we have the same pistol, but it looks like we have a better knife and a better shotgun. And then we've got our different perks or augments here. Quick Eye giving us 35% increased movement speed when we're iron sighted, which is not too bad, but not as important considering you don't iron sight as much in this game. Get Up, 50% increase to health given on revive, which is pretty cool. And then Cool, which increases the time that it takes for mounted MGs to overheat by 50%. So you probably get the picture by now. I'm not going to be going on this crazy rant, but at least you get an idea. You get a bunch of these different cards, and whenever you pick which merc you want to go into battle with, you get to pick which card to use. So pretty cool there. Now moving on to cases and boosters. Now we're finally starting to get into the heart and soul of the free-to-play business model. And well, there's good things and there's bad things, and why don't we go over to the store so I can show you what I mean. So here we are in the store, and we've got a few different options up here. First of all, we've got just regular cases. Then we've got our elite cases, boosters, which give us a boost to the gold that we earn. And then, of course, we've got our loadouts that we can buy independently of buying cases, and then bundles. So if you just want to buy a bundle, you don't want to spend too much money, you do save a little bit of cash by picking one up. But unfortunately, the cases aren't really worth it, and let me explain to you why. The first basic case you can get here, you can get with in-game currency, which costs about 1,000 gold. And you actually have your percentages laid out here, which, you know what, to be honest, I really appreciate the honesty here. But as you can see, it's about 80% to get the lead rarity here, 15% for iron, 3% for bronze. So once you hit bronze, it really, really drops. Silver is about 1.5, gold is about 0.4, and cobalt is a measly 0.1%. Now, there's a little asterisk here. It says rarer bling, but no additional augment strength. So basically it means that starting at silver and going up to gold and cobalt, you do get rarer bling, as in high candy, new skins, and whatnot, but you don't get any more strength with your augments as you would at the bronze level, for instance. So that's kind of interesting, and I guess it's good in a way because you're actually able to craft a lot of these cards with the exception of cobalt. Now this is going to cost you 1,000 in-game credits, and let me just put this into perspective for you, and this is I guess where I have to start going on my rant, because you get about 100 to 150 credits a game, and that's if you play well. So about 8.5 to 10 games down the road, you're able to buy one of these cases, and you're not exactly guaranteed to get something good. So let's go ahead and buy one. I'll go ahead and purchase. And again, it gives you the odds, it gives you some more information, and we're going to click open. You can skip this little animation by clicking the skip button here, but we're just going to watch this because I really enjoy watching this. And yeah, so it looks like we're going to get a card for Aura, and this is the lead rarity. So as you can see, it's a little bit lower quality than the bronze one that we were looking at just about a minute ago. We only have one augment here, and we have these two augments empty as it is a lower quality card. And we've got pretty much the same main weapon as we do in our default loadout with the M9 pistol and the Stiletto. Say that 5 times fast. So this probably gives you a good idea as to what to expect when you buy cases. Now, don't get me wrong, you don't have to start freaking out right now saying, hey, the only way I'm going to get stuff is by buying cases. That is not true. That is not true at all. You can actually go ahead and buy an elite case, but let's skip that for a minute and go over to our loadouts. So if you don't want to focus on the RNG and crossing your toes and your fingers and hoping to whatever god is out there that you're going to get a cobalt or a gold or even a silver, you can come over here and you can skip all the extra bling and buy anything that you want for any mercenary, any card rather, that has 3 augments already in it. Sounds like a good deal, right? So why would we bother with the RNG? Well, because the RNG is going to cost us 1,000, whereas these are going to cost us a little bit more. Yeah, that's a lot more. And this is the one thing that I really dislike. They do give you the option to basically just say, okay, forget about RNG, I'm going to spend my money and I'm going to get what I want. But in order to spend your money and to get what you want, they're facilitating basically spending money either on boosters or basically buying the premium cases to forego having to spend 17,500 credits, which takes an infinitely long time to grind out. If you guys have ever played any MMORPG, you probably know what I'm talking about here. And don't get me wrong, this is cool. You get to pick exactly what you want. I've got 24,618 credits. You know, I can go over to, let's see, where do we have Rhino? Skyhammer. I really like Skyhammer, so I can go ahead and pick one out. I can pick whatever suits my fancy here. Extra ammo, cool. Quick slash, seems good to me. Extra supplies, I like it. I'm going to buy it. You know, I'm foregoing having to spend potentially more than 17,000 credits, or 17.5, sorry, in order for me to get exactly the same card with RNG, which is very improbable. But at the same time, the amount of time that it's going to take me to grind out this much money, even with a booster, is astronomical. And so herein lies the question, is this game pay to win? And you know what, guys, I really can't answer that for you. I can only give you my opinion. There are good and bad things about this particular system that Dirty Bomb employs, but in the end, it's going to be you who figures out for yourself whether this is worth your money or not. And you know what, if it's not worth your money, is it worth your time is the question. So let's move on to elite cases here. I wanted to guys sorry, it's been a long day. I wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of the elite cases because this is a much faster way, albeit more expensive, to get what you actually, well, might want. Because we're going back into the RNG thing here again. So we get one case for $5.49, and I'm in Canada, so this is all in Canadian dollars. 5 elite cases for $21.99 for 5 cases. I know. And 10 for $37.99. So it seems like you do get a slightly better deal if you end up buying more. But the deal here is you're going to get at least a silver or a gold or a cobalt. But the thing is, your augments are not going to be any stronger than one that you can buy for 17,500 credits. So the strength of these on an elite case are not going to be stronger than the strength of the ones that we see here that we can already purchase for 17.5. The trick is that you're going to be getting better costumes, some different colors, who knows. You know, if that's important to you, by all means spend all your money on elite cases, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think playing the game for free is more than enough. And if you want, you know what, boosters, it's a lot less money. I mean, it's still it's $3, but you know, 6 hours, really? Like, some of these options are very hard to understand, considering most free-to-play games, they give you stuff for a day, they give you stuff for 7 days, 30 days. That's the generic sort of free-to-play model. Whereas this, you know, where we're looking at 6, 12, and 18 hours. So, for the most expensive booster at almost $10 here in Canada, you're not even getting a full day's worth of boosting. So, I'll leave you guys to form your own opinion on that. Let me know in the comment section below. I'm really curious what you guys think, because this is questionable. I mean, it's a bit of a questionable business practice, and don't get me wrong, I've played the game, I will continue to play the game, it's a lot of fun. The game itself is fairly well made, as you'll see in some gameplay that I'm going to be showing in just a moment. But, you know, the question begs to be asked, is this game worth your money, and is it worth your time? And again, that's something that you'll have to answer. So, let's pop into a game, and let's show you some gameplay. So we've just loaded into the map here, and we're playing on terminal. And as you can see here, you get to choose between 3 different mercs that you can take with you. So we're going to click on one of them, and we're going to change from Nader to, let's say, Sparks.
Affirmative.
So we don't currently have a loadout card, which means we'll be using the default one. Although, no, I guess we just can't use her because we don't have a loadout card. So there you go. You do have to have a loadout card. There is no default one that stays behind. Let's go back to Nader. And here we have one for her, so we'll pick that. We've got our 3, and we're going to go ahead and click deploy. So here we are, we just spawned in as Skyhammer, although at the beginning of the game you do have the option, and after every time you die, you do have the option of being able to pick whichever mercenary you like. So let's just head over here. Okay, I think we just got destroyed from behind. And the death system is really cool because it actually shows you who killed you. So, as you can see here on the bottom, as we're spectating somebody else, we have a choice between F1, F2, and F3, which is for us, Skyhammer, Nader, and Aura. So we're going to go ahead with Nader here. She's got a pretty sweet grenade launcher and a nice machine gun, or I believe it's a submachine gun, I'm not 100% sure. Nice. So we're going to hit space, and here we are. So now we're playing as a completely different mercenary with a completely different set of skills. And let's see if we can find someone to kill. Alright, almost. We're going to respawn again and try it again. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the environment here and the playstyle while I'm trying not to get myself killed too badly. Oh, well, there you go. The graphics, let's start off with the graphics. The graphics are very nicely done. They have this sort of pseudo cell shaded look to them, even though they're not really cell shaded. It is a bit more of a cartoony vibe, but you know what, it suits the game very well. It's a game that doesn't really take itself too seriously, and I appreciate the Brink-like graphics that have been adopted because I did really enjoy the graphical style of Brink. The sounds equally are fairly well done. They are not too poppy, they're not too sort of drab, and they're sort of right in between. They do a very good job at simulating. Oh, I think we might have gotten the kill there. I'm not sure. Probably not. They do a very good job at replicating sounds. The guns sound very snappy. They sound, I wouldn't say very realistic, but they also sound a lot more like someone's actually put some effort into it, which is nice. It's nice to see that. And the ambient sounds are also very nice. They're very well done. They fit the environment really well. There is a little bit of reverberation to be heard as well, which is very nice. And of course you can hear the various different things, grenades and mines exploding, and aircraft flying above. So very, very well done. The snap shooting, or the twitch shooting as I like to call it, almost got him there, is pretty good. And most of the time in this game, unless you're at a very long distance, you're usually shooting from... Oh my. Okay, we almost got that guy. You're usually shooting from the hip. And as you can probably imagine here, I can't possibly do very well while I'm talking at the same time. I'm usually very quiet when I play multiplayer games. But nevertheless, you usually shoot from the hip in this game. It's very, very rare that you actually activate your iron sights. They don't help you out that much, and in fact, I feel like in this particular game, they do kind of tend to get in the way a little bit. But we've got some perks that we can use here. And see if we can... see if the iron sights will help at all. One of our guys just died down here. Maybe we can... There we are. Just spray and pray. Okay, there we go. There's a kill. So once you kill somebody... Oh my, there's some more. Once you kill somebody, they're down or not out. And what you need to do is you need to either go up to them and melee them in the face, or you need to keep shooting them some more until they die. Because when they're down or not out, you can have a medic come by and just heal them. As you can see there, the person we were spectating ended up doing just that. So the medic is able to come back up and basically revive the person when they're down like that. But once you've killed them fully, they do have a short respawn timer, upon which they just respawn and resume the action. Let's see what we have here. Oh, I didn't want to jump down this side. That was my mistake. But you know what? I am fairly satisfied with the game. There are a couple of nuances and you know, idiosyncrasies where they're forgivable. I mean, they're not game breaking or anything like that. But holy cow, there were two of them, at least two of them in there. My aim's not that great. So there you go. Got hit with a grenade and basically have to respawn. My overall impression of the game, to be honest, guys, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's fairly well done. The action's snappy. The shooting is rewarding. The free-to-play system could use a little bit of work. I mean, free-to-play is free-to-play. There's really not much to bitch and complain about. Not that I really have much to bitch and complain about, but to be honest, I feel like the grind could have been improved a little bit, or, well, decreased, as I would like to say. Oh, we almost just walked right into that airstrike. Okay, we did walk into that airstrike. There were two of them. So, if you know what, if the developers are listening, I would say they've done everything very well. But if they could lower the prices of the cases by about half, I don't think that would be asking too much. And I think a lot more people would be actually investing more time into the game to get more of these cases and a chance to get something that they really want. And I think that would be really, really, really cool. So, there we go. Okay, we had someone behind the wall here. But that's my only gripe, really. That's my only complaint. I'm more than happy to actually spend money on free-to-play games. I think free-to-play games are sort of like the next generation of business model. I mean, it seems to work very well. It's worked for a lot of different game developers and game publishers before. And you know what? We've seen our share of successful business models and not so successful business models, neither of which I'm going to mention here. We don't need to talk about other games, but I'm sure you guys have probably seen them. And yeah, I mean, I'd say this is more on the functional side. Okay, yeah, we saw that time. Oh god. And as you can see, the action is relentless in this game. It's very, very fast. You die very quickly, but you respawn very quickly as well. Keeps you in the game, and you know what, overall I think out of 10 I'd probably give this game about a 7.5 to an 8, which is really good. It's for a free-to-play game, it's probably one of the highest ranks that I would give. There are other free-to-play games that I've played that, you know, I'd probably give 6 to 7. But based on the graphics, the graphical fidelity, the audio fidelity, the netcode is actually surprisingly good as well. I really enjoy that. It works very, very well. And everything summed up in a nutshell, it does very well. There are a few things that they need to fix, but you know what? We're in open beta. Not a big deal. Those things can be fixed. They can be ironed out. And honestly, it's not that big of a deal. And you know what? If they don't get ironed out, then we'll just know that this is the way that the developer intended the game to be played, and then I guess we'll just have to deal with it. But nevertheless, guys, that has been my very short or somewhat long review of Dirty Bomb. Hopefully you like it, and by the time you're watching this video, things have probably changed. We're probably out of open beta, or maybe we're not. Who knows? But hopefully... Oh. I wonder if there was someone in there. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, my aim is pretty bad. I'm not very good at Twitch shooting. You guys can probably know, for someone who plays a lot of Magic and MOBAs, this is a new learning curve here for me. I used to play FPS quite a lot when I was younger, but not so much anymore. But anyway, guys, I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you liked it. Leave a dislike if you don't. But you know what? If you don't like it, let me know in the comment section why you didn't. Maybe I can make it better for you next time. So with that being said, let me know what you think about this game in the comment section below. And stay tuned for more awesome content on the channel. Make sure to go over to sspgaming.blogspot.com. Check that out. Read some articles. And we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Bye for now.